There's no guarantee that this is going to run all the way through without the tape squealing, but we're going to give it a go. I was asked some time ago if I could do a bit of a Bill Mitchell recording, so this is part of a session that was done back on the 30th of the 1st, 1985. So sit back and enjoy, hopefully.
We started 112. Yep. Disco hit 1. Disco hit 2. Disco hit 3. Disco hit 4. Disco hit 5. Disco hit 6. Disco hit 7. Disco hit 8. Disco hit 9. Disco hit 10. Soul classics of yesteryear.
And as you can tell, it squeals.
The soul classics of yesterday. Feel like getting down. Feel like getting down? Terrific. The best music with James Harper. It's the Cameron DeBrett Show. It's the Summer Road Show with Cameron DeBrett.
Okay, some of that squealing comes off the tapes. Well, all of it comes off the tapes because Ampex, Scotch and quite a few other branded tapes didn't know how to make tape. So we all suffer now, X amount of years later. The squeeze. Okay, I have two of these Russco Studio Pro Model Bs. They're actually on a gearing, and inside each of the marks where it says 33 and 45, and I'll zoom in on that so you can see it. And on each of these marks where it's got 33, 45, there's a small grub screw inside, and that actually adjusts the tension on the gearing. When the record players, turntables are not in use, then they go to a neutral position. Now the platters are quite heavy. Actually, you can hear it, they weigh a ton. Right, well, as you can see, they weigh a ton. That's the platter, and you can probably see just how thick the turntables are. And they are really heavy. And they've got oil on the actual central spindle. And inside, zoom in for you. Okay, you can see that it's just a pinch wheel with a large motor, and the motor is actually on 3 rubber mounts, so there's a little bit of movement there. Okay, so that's the way that works. Put the arm back. It takes a bit of doing to get this spindle off these days, but they are lubricated and they are looked after. So that's the internals, fairly basic. Now these are 110, 120 volt units, so they are step down transformers. That will go down in a minute. Driving these. And the way that the turntable works is on the mixing desk. Let me zoom back out. This control switches the motor on and off. So if you look at that and look at the, let's do 45, look at the speed control. And that's controlled via that. And that's how that works. Okay, so I won't be able to play much of a record because of copyright, but it's something a little bit obscure. But even so, you still stand a chance of getting a copyright here. I'll only play a few seconds of this. So, back to the turntable. There. Okay, I don't know if I can get both in the shot actually, can I? Not really. Right, let me come back. Then again, I'm going to be in the shot if I do that. Right, so you cue the record. And the way you do that is on the mixing desk, there's a cue button above. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I think you can. There. And a red light comes up on the desk. You just move the headphones out of the way. There. So that now you've got the volume control down. And by switching the switch on the deck, turning the deck switch. Right, that's your record cued, come off the cue. And now you're ready to blast the record. So let me again see if I can give you a better shot of this. Okay, right. So by lifting the fader, you switch on the deck.
Just another fool.
And that's how it works. So if you're in full flight and you've got a jingle machine running and the Russco Studio Pro Model B's queued up, then you're away.
Just another fool.
And it's as easy as that. Okay, so I know somebody requested to see the Russcos in action, so there you have it. Next request I have is about the Sonifex jingle machines. Yes, interesting one. Okay, a little bit more complicated, but they're not really. I need to set up for that. So give me a few seconds and I'll try and explain how the Sonifex works. Okay, the Sonifex, I mean this is a rack mounted combination where you can just pull out the entire unit for quick repair. NAB carts, I mean this is an audio pack 4, but there's lots and lots of different variations. I have quite a lot. Record. That one, as far as I know, is to record a bleep afterwards, after the jingle. You press that and that gives you a fast forward on the cartridge, which I never use. Mainly because these machines are quite old now, and to run the motors at twice the speed could create a problem. You've got left and right volumes when you're recording, so you can change these volumes. You need a small screwdriver in there to balance up each of your VU meters to get them accurate to your desk. This button you press after the jingle's gone through. If that bleep's been put on here after the jingle, then that cartridge will run twice the speed until it re-cues. Don't like using it because the belts are old and they can fly off, so I never use it. That's basically it. I've never used these, never touched these. And again,
the brightest stars are on Supernova Radio.
Yeah, so and that would just re-cue, as you know. To record these, it's a bit more of a trick to that. But the other thing to remember is that these cartridges cannot be erased in these machines. You have to erase these cartridges outside of the machine. And you can either use a bulk eraser, or Sonifex did make a machine, which I've got here somewhere, which doesn't work particularly well, which is an erase machine. Go and find it. So there you have, this is a bulk tape eraser. Yeah, I don't know how sharp that is in there. So that they do come up on eBay occasionally. Again, I don't think they're readily available, and this is really dangerous because if you switch this on and you're near tape, it will erase anything that it's near to. So you've got to make sure that it's well away from tape that you don't want erased. Okay, this has been underneath the desk for yonks. Let's give this a wipe. This is the bulk tape eraser. You put the cartridge inside and it just erases. It's just the way it goes. It's automatic. As soon as the cartridge goes in, the tape eraser whirls around and erases the tape. Not very effective, this one. I don't know why. I have been inside it. Maybe I need to look at it again. But it doesn't erase that well. And again, it might be set up for the older type tape. New tape. The new tape's quite loud. So, as for myself, as I say, I don't use fast forward. Yeah, you need to use record if you're recording. So I don't know if I've got a blank cartridge laying around. I might have. Give me a moment. Right, we've got a blank tape. Okay, let me just see if I can explain how we do this. Shall we do it on one of the Bill Mitchell things we did earlier, which has been recorded on... Okay, you normally run these cartridges round until you see the leader tape, because this is lubricated tape inside. There it goes, it's just gone through. So you can stop it, so you've gone past the lubricated tape. Then what you can do is you can press record, brings up the record light. Now you're ready to hit play and record on the cartridge. So I've got a Bill Mitchell liner set up, so you really need to be able to do it with two hands. So finger on the play button, don't know if I'm blocking it or not, finger on the play button, and the jingle queued up ready to go, and you just hit play on the jingle at the same time hit the cue button, hit the play button. So 3, 2, 1.
Disco hit 7.
Right, what you can do then is put a cue bleep on the end, which I said I wouldn't do. Right, and then you can fast forward that to that jingle. Because it's a long cartridge, it will find the bleep, hopefully, if it still works, because these machines don't get much use these days. So it's double speed at the moment, going back to find the jingle at the start. And when it finds the jingle, it should stop. It's found the jingle. And then that's the trouble. And that's why I never use it, because these machines are old. And okay, let's see if that finds it. We're just going to have to... Now what's happened now, I can tell you what's happened now. The belt's come off. And that is the problem when you fast forward these old machines. So laying in the bottom of this machine is the belt. And I'm right. So I'm going to need to fish that belt out. That's why I do not use fast forward, because the belts... Right, the belts are old and they will just drop off the spindles because they're just not held on very well. That is the really iffy thing about these. So that's why I do not, that's a good example why I do not use fast forward on these machines, because the belts can't take it anymore, and you can't get replacement belts easy. The other thing, when you clean these, you clean the heads with alcohol, but you don't clean the rubbers with alcohol, because isoponic alcohol actually rots the rubber. So you use a little bit of liquid soap, a little bit of washing up liquid with a cotton wool bud to clean your pinch roller. Just a little bit, you just go round and you clean off the tape from the pinch roller. That's the way I do it. I know people do clean the pinch rollers, and I used to years ago with alcohol, rubbing alcohol. It's not advisable. You can clean your heads, because they do get clogged up. But you should never ever clean your rubber parts, because the alcohol will destroy them. So that was a good example as to why I do not use the fast forward. And you would get a tighter queue as well if you spend a bit more time queuing up. But of course I haven't. I've done this really quickly. So I think right, okay.
Disco hit 7.
There you go. So you're better off not putting that second tone on. That see, it's found it, because that's what we've done, and it goes into it. But I normally wouldn't put that tone on. So it's gone twice the speed. Now that could fall off as well. So I'll have a night of putting belts on, which is crazy. But there you have it. But yeah, what can I say? That's how it works. Yeah, fairly straightforward. The mono machine. It's an old broadcast electronics. It's a mono. There you go. You're back again.
Disco hit 7.
There you go. You can do that all day. Let's grab a card. This is a mono triple stack. Let me come across to it. See if I can zoom in a bit and show you. There's all manner of these machines out there. Right, so you can put 3 cartridges in. It's a playback only. There is a module, a unit that goes with it that makes it a record unit, but I haven't got that. Plus it's quite an old unit, but it's a mono playback only. When I can find it. And again, you see it's not been used for some time because it's spinning. No. So these things sit here. Let's just see. There you go.
From a very modest beginning in antiquity, where Romans roamed, Saxons sacked and started our history, this self-reliant, sprawling giant of a city came to be. London, London, that's my hometown.
Right, so that's that we just played for a. You can hear it's waving. The actual pressure pads. Again, this is another problem with these. The pressure pads do wear out, and that's the same. The one that I've just used, this one, the pressure pads inside have gone flat, and that's why the Bill Mitchell thing doesn't sound as bright as it could do, because it's just worn out. So that's the way I use these machines. As I say, the manuals for them are quite meaty. They're quite big manuals, so you would have to search eBay. They do come up occasionally, like everything seems to come up occasionally on eBay. But
I've given them all.
yeah. Okay, so that's it really. Copyright to that now goes to Jam Productions in Dallas. They own the rights to the old Pam's library. And you can, again, if you put in, you can put in Pam's PAMS.com, and I think you'll find John has also got, well, he has got the Pam's material as well as the Jam stuff. That is his. So that's it really. I'm waffling away here. I don't really spend a lot of time explaining things these days because I know there's a bit of interest in it, but it's not massive. And it takes a bit of time to put these things together. Right, the only issue I've had with these machines are the electrolytic capacitors. These things here, 1, 2, here as well, 3. It's mainly this board. When you look at the machine, okay, when you look at the machine, you've got your 2 heads, and at the back of that you have this board, if I can show you, this board here, which is over to the left. That comes right out, or the lid might lift off yours, and if it's working, leave it, don't touch it. But if it stops playing back, then it's the small electrolytic capacitors that sit here and here, and you need to change those if it stops, if you don't get any playback out of it. If it's working, leave it. Most of these components will probably be obsolete now. These IC chips, as you can see, there's quite a few. I would not touch them. I have a meter that tests, I think would test them, but I really wouldn't want to get into that. These ones here, the big cans, they hold a charge like the small ones do too, but they're the mains powering. And at the back, that round thing at the back, just to the back of those two capacitors, that's your power transformer. You shouldn't have any issues with them, really. But they are getting old now, so the things that tend to play up on these machines, or any old electronics, is the capacitors. Not all the time, but most of the time. But if they're working, don't touch them, leave them alone. So that's it. And I've just put the belt back on, so it doesn't take long. But it's just the age of it. You've got your record head and your playback head. There is no erase head in this machine at all. There's your pinch wheel, and you can clean your pinch wheel, as I say, a little drop of liquid soap mixed with water, and just gently go around and clean it. Your heads, and these are quite dirty, I can see now, these heads will clean with rubbing alcohol on a cotton wool bud. So you dip this in alcohol and you would just clean off the heads like that. You could do the spindle with it, but I would not do this anymore, because these will be starting to go hard, and the worst thing you want is for these wheels to crack, because that will give you a problem if they do. And that's really it. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say. As I say, I wouldn't muck about with it too much. If it's working, leave it. Just get used to it. But if you've got cartridges and you haven't got a bulk eraser, you will not be able to erase the tape inside the cartridge. And the cartridge itself, the tape inside, is lubricated tape, which is a special type of tape. And I think that's quite tough to get hold of now. But it is. I don't even think it's out there. Again, because I've been doing this for a long time, I've accumulated quite a bit of stuff. But yeah, it is tricky to keep this stuff running, especially when you can do everything on the computer, Mini Mac. I do stuff for Supernova Radio, and all my stuff is done now on the computer. Very seldom do I use the turntables. I do use them, but not that often. And the mixing desk is Alice, which has been with me forever, since the 1980s. It's been rebuilt a couple of times. It's a new transformer, mains transformer. And I'm lucky enough that I know a little bit to keep it running. And the Russcos, I think I bought the Russco decks back in 1972 when I was doing discos, and then we moved to doing studio work, and then that's when we started doing the American jingles, which is another story. Okay, so I think that's it. This is the first time these machines have been fired up in yonks, so it proves that they're good quality, and they will just go on forever. Okay, I'm hoping that's really answered your question. They're not that difficult to use. Don't make it too complicated when you do use them. And I think I demonstrated there that if you do this fast forward thing, you're going to have problems. There's no need to do it. You can put as many jingles on a cartridge as you like. And talking about cartridges, yeah, that's another story. All that lot. They're all, yeah. That lot up there. So, there. All various types. Some of them are A2s, those there. That goes down below that thing that I've got to get rid of, which is this thing. Got to dump that. Right, and there. And there. And over there. crazy time. Some need new pads, some don't. The various tapes, they did change the tape over the years, so there are quite a few different types of tape. And the old B77 Revox, which has been with me since 1979, I think. It's had 3 sets of heads. It's been rebuilt, totally rebuilt about three years ago. And the reason for this is because of the squeaky tape, folks, which everybody seems to suffer from this early stuff, which is a shame. Okay, thanks for your interest, and I hope this has been useful. Thanks a lot. Bye.